Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Hey guys, we're back with Team Anonymous. I'll be handing it over to Samia from Team Anonymous. Over to you.
Yeah. Hi, we're Team Anonymous, and our solution is iConsent. It's a UI toolkit that all of the AAs can take in and build accessible consent journeys for the Indian user base. Some of the crucial problems that we narrowed down on after a bit of user research and talk with our mentors was that there's a general lack of interest among users to go through consents before they agree or reject. And even for the users that want to understand what they're agreeing to, they're still finding it hard to navigate through the UI. And then there's still a segment of Indian users who are not feeling inclusive enough to be able to adapt and use these modern interfaces. These are real user comments that we got from our users with whom we tested with. So for the first component of a solution is to handle the low literacy band of users. So wherein a single form of content delivery is not going to work, and we had to diversify and make multiple forms of delivery. So I'm going to move on to our site. So this is where a user would come when he is redirected from an FI like ClearTax or QuickBooks or Mint. So this is the dashboard view. So you see all your bank accounts linked, and then I'm going to click on one of these consents. There's a quick, navigation pop-ups that kind of tell which is where, and then I'm going to play the video now.
ClearTax wants to access your linked pension account details. The accounts that you're giving consent are SBI. ClearTax wants to view your summary data.
So as you just saw, we have a backend that takes in a consent artifact and spins up a 30-second video that is very specific to that particular artifact. So this is a very human way of reaching out to users, and it's also a very assisted way, irrespective of the literacy levels. So for users who are very modern and they want to kind of come to a quick text kind of view, but still built out card views that are very visual and help the user consume data in the best possible way. So this is the first component. Now moving on to the second component. Now that we have these different ways of delivering content, it's also really important to keep the journey really accessible. So in this section, we're addressing users who are really literate, but not very enabled. I mean, they're not very tech savvy. They're not used to using like modern apps. So we kind of solved like small problems to make this solution work. So we said let's go completely no scroll. So we're not falling back to the old way of showing terms and conditions where the user is just going to scroll to the end and directly click on approve. It's a very intrusive way of showing things, and also not much content gets into their head. So we said no scroll, and then some other stuff is the second important component of our whole solution is the native language component. It's a hybrid component that we've already scaled to work for 6 different Indian languages, and adding another language is just adding another config file for the language. So it's also hybrid in a way that it is not direct Google translate from language to language, but it's a hybrid config that wherein you can override to make it more casual way of talking. So sorry, I'm going to play another sample now. Let me go here and so I'm going to play this. So even the cue that you saw, it will be in Hindi if we set the browser language to Hindi. So I'm just giving you.
डेटा को स्ट्रीम करना चाहता है 6 दिसंबर 2018 से 3 जुलाई 2020 तक का आपका लेनदेन और प्रोफाइल डेटा प्राप्त किया जाएगा.
So as you saw, even the small details in the video plus the text, all of it is really well translated, and even the text content is pretty well translated. So the user feels that he's on a site that he's fully enabled to use. When we had this native language, we also got the benefit of making it really conversational. So the translation is really casual. Our components work in such a way that fintech jargon should not get in the way of a normal like a layman user to be able to use this whole page. So all of the content is really conversational. So that's another part of the solution. So apart from keeping it accessible, we also wanted to keep the sensory parity. What we mean by sensory parity is all of the content in the video that the user sees is what he will hear as well. So what a blind user hears is what a deaf user will see. So there's that sense of sensory parity so that it's really inclusive to even users with disabilities. I'm going to move on to the next component of our solution, which is this is to solve for the band of users who directly go and click on approve without reading through the consent. So it's really tricky to solve for this. So what we've done is, I'm going to again switch to a different language just to kind of show the languages. Let me pick this. So one part of this solution is that we went ahead and took the burden of splitting the content that we should be showing. So instead of the user, kind of trying to figure out, so we're making it in a very question and answer way of showing things. And then it's also a very progressive disclosure wherein the user either can come and get answers or they can be nudged to get answers to questions that they should be getting to. So the second part of the solution is again, let's say I don't read this and I'm directly going to go and click approve, and there's been a very casual way we pull up a wand saying, are you sure you want to reject or agree this? So now here it's still less intrusive. The user can go ahead and click on approve, but in case that the user goes back and reads through the consent, then there's a sense of reward that we give them, that again we're going to put up a message saying, hey, it's a good job you've done reading through all of this. Now this is where the user will be redirected back to the FIU to continue with the app usage flow. So that's the third part of our solution. Now moving on to our user testing. So we did get the chance to test with a small group of users, 15 users. So some of our metrics are that 100% of all of our users were able to understand what they were accepting or rejecting to. And then out of the users that went on and clicked approve or reject initially, we were able to pull back 50+% of users to go back and read what they were what they had come for. And then another big boost for us was that instead of irrespective of which band of users they fell into, all of them, 80% of them reached out for the video irrespective of their literacy level, which was a really good boost for us. And then I'm going to quickly walk over the architecture. So for all of the A's in the ecosystem to kind of quickly pull this in and ship it to production if they like any of this work, the footer components, the UI components are on NPM and the backend components are on PyPy. And then the front end is written in Vue, it's posted in Netlify. We've used app queues for the integration. And for the architecture, there's one Lambda that is acting as the REST API for the front end, and there's another Lambda that asynchronously listens to video generation and generates the videos. S3, there's a dynamo cache so that we're not generating the same videos over and over again. So kind of show the cost for 1 million consents, it's only going to cost less than $100, which is approximately 7,000 rupees. So the benefit of investing in these problems and solutions is that not that we're going to build an immersive experience for the user, or not that we're going to build an amazing UI, but the benefit is that we're going to get that trust from the users. So, it's going to translate into word of mouth, and in the coming, next 2 months for the A's that are rolling out or already have rolled out, getting this benefit of trust and that word of mouth is going to be really, really crucial for all the A's in the ecosystem to succeed. So I'm going to quickly walk over our existing scope and future scope and all of that. So we've solved for these problems in this horizontal, in this vertical, that is the account aggregator ecosystem. So directly extending our solution, one possible way could be that the video already has an audio content in the background. We're storing that. That can be made use in serving for low bandwidth or low range devices like feature phones, making an automated calls to these phones, and we can serve those customers that way. And then we had put a placeholder chat that you see here. So we saw a lot of users reaching out to this chat component. So this is something that we can explore as well. Now, in the keynote speech, we heard Nandan Nilekani talk that, account aggregators is just a start, and then there are other verticals that could possibly pop up. So the same stack can be easily translated to these different other verticals as well. So we find that really exciting as well. So that's pretty much it. And this is our team, and we're opening up to questions now.
Amazing. That was great. You please mute through it as well. So you have. Could you please mute when you're not speaking? So awesome. Yeah. So guys, that was great. Please show your appreciation with emojis if you like. You have 6 minutes for Q&A with the judges. Judges, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Hi, Amit.
Go ahead, Amit. All right, I'll go ahead. Hey, I just want to know fundamentally, where are you placing your product, right? Is this to be used inside of an FIU? Because if let's say ClearTax is a client and they want to use, and the consent is taken through an existing AA, right? Where does your
I want to clear that up. This is a product for the A's itself, for One Money, Perfeo, Spinpo, all of them, for their consistent journeys to make their UI better so that they can onboard more users. That's the business viability, to be direct. Yeah, not for the FIUs or not for the banks. It's for the AAs.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, thank you. This is a very intuitive and simple way for anybody to understand. So thank you for this presentation. How do you plan, or what are ways to monetize this, Soumya and team?
This is not a direct monetary benefit. So the business viability itself comes from being able to onboard, I think at least the first 1 million users that we get they should have that benefit of being able to use everything properly. We did see some of the existing UI in each of the AAs, and we did not personally feel that it is very understandable for a layman, or like for instance we did show it to our parents and to our other friends, and it's pretty cluttery, and it does not reach very well. So the direct viability comes from the ability to onboard as many users as possible and also get that word of mouth going. So it comes from the user base itself. So it's not a direct monetary or a business viability. I mean, a monetary benefit that I would say, but it's more of a ecosystem for the betterment and for the for the ecosystem to work. That's how we would put it. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So Soumya, how much of resource is required to create that video? Is that very resource intensive? Can it handle thousands of customers at a
So we've gone. I did show the architecture. Let me show that again. So it's all based out of lambdas. It's completely serverless. So it scales based on the number of users we get. So we've already calculated for 1 million consents. So we also have a cache. So the video generation is not going to be going to be very intensive as well. So the generation is under 6 seconds, and the memory limits are per lambda it's 512 MB. So it scales pretty well based on the. I mean, we can actually leave it to AWS itself to handle the scaling. But yeah, based on the infrastructure, we can definitely tweak. But the reason we kept it serverless was to kind of handle large traffic and be a little less on the cost as well. So yeah.
Hi, Soumya and team. This is Shashank.
Hey, Shashank.
Assuming this ends up being very intuitive and gains a lot of traction among the AA community, what's your differentiator vis-a-vis others who may want to offer this?
Yeah, got it. So, see, we kind of, the problem with this was there's too many, target groups, there's too many problems to solve. So I think our benefit here itself is that we kind of narrowed down on those 3 top problems. And at least we think that for the first 10 million users or for the next few months when the AAs are getting that big start, solving for those 3 problems in kind of, targeting all of these different groups in the highest coverage possible is what we think will solve the best. We can come up with immersive UI. I can even put AR, VR into this and make a real human stand and talk there. It's not a big deal. But what really works, that's what I think with, with user testing, we had talks with Dharmesh, who's already working with the AAs on this. And, I think that's kind of our, we kind of took the whole problem solving hat and, we wanted to solve for the real Indian user base. We really want to give all the FIUs and banks that benefit of, getting users, so that, I mean, it's ultimately, my mom telling my friend's mom that this AA is really cool, or this app's really cool, come log in, and you can use it in Tamil, you can use it in Hindi. That's what we want ultimately, right? So yeah, that's how we want to see it as, yeah.
Fair enough. I think what I was trying to do was just very simply, right? What makes it hard for someone to copy what you've done, and are they sort of, is there a moat that you build over time?
Yeah. The technical details, right? The video generation is not, if somebody else was going to try to put the same text in Tamil or Hindi, except Hindi and English, none of the text would render on the video as we just showed. There's a specific layer of Lambda that we created, which has some complex text generators. We put it in the challenges in our dev folio details. So it was, I think we had to sit and solve that for like 8-9 days in this project, because it was really hard to make that text render without breaks in text. It's not been solved. It's a problem that was not solved before. So I think that's one of our, probably something that somebody's not going to be able to solve. Making it work for these many number of languages is, I think, it's probably going to be difficult. Yeah.
Very quickly from my side, which account aggregators did you integrate with?
Oh yeah, we've integrated with OneMoney Sandbox, but yeah, the packages are open to all other aggregators.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? We're a little bit over time. I think maybe we'll just move on to the next team. But thank you very much, Soumya and team. That was Team Anonymous. We'll take a short break, everybody, and we'll be back with our next team very soon. In less than 5 minutes, we'll be back with our next team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, team.